Nobody saw this coming. But now that it's out, there's no going back. What started as whispers behind closed doors has just exploded into one of the most chaotic, emotional, and downright shocking celebrity meltdowns we've seen in years. And at the center of it all, Chrisean Rock, Blueface, and a child that may have just changed everything. Because according to multiple so-called insider leaks, things didn't just get heated. They got violent, personal, and deeply ugly in a way that even fans who followed this toxic roller coaster weren't ready for. We're talking screaming matches caught on camera, furniture reportedly being thrown, security rushing in, and one moment that has the entire internet asking the same question. Did Chrisean Rock really snap after Blueface publicly denied his own son? And it gets worse. Because just when fans thought this was another one of their usual public arguments, something different happened this time. Something darker. Something that insiders are calling a breaking point that can't be undone. Allegedly, Blueface didn't just question paternity. He humiliated Chrisean in front of people, laughed it off, and then said something so cold, so disrespectful that it sent her completely over the edge. Within minutes, chaos erupted. Phones were out, cameras were rolling, and what happened next? Let's just say it wasn't just another argument. Now clips are circulating, fans are picking sides, celebrities are quietly reacting, and a deeper story is starting to unfold. One that suggests this may have been building for months behind the scenes. But here's the part nobody is ready for. Because the attack, that might not even be the most shocking part of this entire situation. There's a twist coming. And once you hear it, everything you thought you knew about Chrisean, Blueface, and that baby might completely change. Stay with me, because this is about to get way more intense. If you've been watching this story from the beginning, then you already know this wasn't just some random explosion out of nowhere. No. What just happened between Chrisean Rock and Blueface? This has been building for a long time, slowly, quietly, like a ticking time bomb that everyone ignored until it finally blew up. Because let's be real for a second, their relationship was never normal. From the very first moment Chrisean Rock entered Blueface's world, it wasn't about love in the traditional sense. It was chaos, obsession, control, and emotional extremes that played out in front of millions like a reality show nobody could look away from. Fans first noticed the tension back when Chrisean was trying to prove herself, fighting for attention, loyalty, and validation in a situation where the rules seemed to change every single day. One moment, Blueface would praise her, call her his ride or die, act like she was the only one holding him down, and the next, he'd embarrass her publicly, laugh at her pain, bring other women into the picture just to get a reaction, and somehow, every single time, it worked. Because Chrisean didn't just react, she exploded. We're talking about arguments that turned physical, emotional breakdowns caught on live streams, moments where fans genuinely questioned if what they were watching had crossed the line from entertainment into something much darker. And yet, they stayed connected. That's what made this situation so complicated. No matter how toxic it got, no matter how many times things ended, they always found their way back into each other's orbit. And every time they did, it got worse, more intense, more public, more unpredictable. Then came the pregnancy, and that's when everything shifted. At first, fans thought this would be the turning point, the moment where things would finally calm down. A baby, after all, changes everything. Right? Wrong. Because instead of bringing peace, the pregnancy introduced a whole new level of tension, one that neither of them seemed ready to handle. Blueface's reactions? Confusing. Cold at times. Dismissive in ways that left fans uncomfortable. He didn't fully embrace it. Didn't show the kind of support people expected. And slowly, people started noticing something strange in his behavior. Something that felt off. It was like he was distancing himself before the baby even arrived. Meanwhile, Chrisean? She doubled down emotionally. She spoke openly about wanting a family, about proving people wrong, about finally having something real with Blueface that couldn't be taken away. But behind the scenes, according to so-called insiders and people close to the situation, things weren't nearly as hopeful as she made them seem. There were arguments, constant ones, late-night fights over loyalty, over trust, over whether Blueface even believed the baby was his. Conversations that allegedly turned into shouting matches. Accusations flying back and forth. And here's where things start to get really uncomfortable. Because whispers started circulating online, quiet at first, then louder, suggesting that Blueface had doubts. Serious doubts. At first, fans brushed it off as trolling. Just another headline to stir drama. But then Blueface himself began dropping hints. Subtle comments in interviews, offhand jokes during live streams, little remarks that didn't seem like much on their own. But when you put them together, it painted a very different picture. A picture of a man who wasn't fully convinced. And for Chrisean, that was devastating. Because imagine this for a second. You're already in one of the most publicly scrutinized relationships on the internet. Your every move is being watched, judged, clipped, and reposted. And now the father of your child is out here planting seeds of doubt? That's not just drama. That's humiliation on a global scale. Fans began taking sides. Some defended Blueface, saying he had the right to question things, especially given the chaos surrounding their relationship. Others stood firmly with Chrisean, calling out what they saw as emotional manipulation, disrespect, and outright cruelty. And as the debate got louder, so did the tension between them. Every interaction became more heated. Every livestream felt like it could spiral at any second. And then came the moment that many now believe was the final straw. The moment where everything crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Because according to multiple circulating reports and viral clips, Blueface didn't just question the situation privately anymore. He did it publicly, in front of people, in front of cameras. In a way that some fans are calling calculated, while others say it was just careless, but either way, it hit hard. And for Chrisean, that moment, that might have been the one that pushed her past her breaking point. Because what happened next wasn't just another argument, it was something bigger, louder, more explosive than anything we've seen from them before. And trust me, the way it all went down, that's where this story takes a turn nobody was ready for. Because the confrontation that followed, it didn't just expose emotions, it exposed everything. And this is where everything completely spiraled out of control. Because what happened next wasn't just another messy argument, not another viral clip fans could laugh off or debate in the comments. No. This was the moment things turned explosive, unpredictable, and honestly, a little terrifying. According to multiple leaked accounts and clips now circulating online, the situation reached its breaking point during what was supposed to be a casual, low-key gathering. Nothing major, just a few people around. Cameras here and there, because let's be honest, in their world, cameras are always around. But nobody expected what was about to unfold. At first, everything seemed normal. Blueface was reportedly joking around, acting relaxed, even laughing with people nearby. Chrisean was there too. Quieter than usual, some say. Watching, listening, taking everything in. And then it happened. Someone brought up the baby. Now at first it didn't seem serious. Just another passing comment. But then Blueface responded. And according to multiple eyewitness-style posts and so-called insider leaks, his tone changed. He didn't laugh it off. He didn't dodge the question. He leaned into it. And what he said next, that's what set everything off. Allegedly, Blueface made a comment questioning whether the baby was even his, right there in front of everyone. Not privately, not respectfully, publicly. And the way he said it? Not calm, not concerned, dismissive, almost mocking. Some reports claim he even smirked, like it was a joke. And in that exact moment, something inside Chrisean snapped. Because you have to understand, this wasn't just about a comment. This was months of tension. Months of feeling disrespected, doubted, embarrassed, all boiling over at once. And witnesses say you could literally see it happen. Her entire energy shifted. The room got quiet. The laughter stopped. And for a few seconds, it felt like time froze. But then, it exploded. Chrisean reportedly stood up fast, no hesitation, no second thought, and immediately confronted Blueface. Not calmly, not quietly, loud. Her voice rising, emotions pouring out, words coming faster than anyone could process. Say that again. That's what multiple clips claim she said. And when Blueface didn't back down, that's when things escalated fast. According to what's now being described as a chaotic, a near uncontrollable scene. The argument turned physical within seconds. People started yelling. Someone dropped their phone. Others rushed in trying to separate them. But it was already too late. Because Chrisean wasn't holding back anymore. This wasn't about proving a point. This was rage. Real, raw, built-up anger finally exploding in real time. Reports claim she lunged toward him, not caring who was watching, not caring about cameras, not caring about consequences. And Blueface? He didn't exactly de-escalate. Instead of calming things down, insiders claim he responded with sarcasm, even laughter at one point, which only made things worse. And that's when the room completely lost control. Furniture reportedly got knocked over. Security had to step in. People were shouting over each other, trying to figure out what was happening. Trying to stop it, trying to record it at the same time. Because let's be real, in moments like this, nobody just watches anymore. They film, and now, those clips are everywhere. Different angles, different snippets. Each one showing pieces of a moment that feels bigger than what's on screen. You can hear the shouting, you can see the tension. You can feel how quickly everything spiraled from words into something much more dangerous. But here's where it gets even more intense. Because just when people thought it couldn't get worse, it did. In the middle of all this chaos, one specific moment was caught. A moment that has now gone viral for a completely different reason. Because in that clip, right as people are trying to separate them, Chrisean reportedly screamed something that changed everything. Not just about the fight, not just about the baby, but about what might have been happening behind the scenes this entire time. According to viewers who've analyzed the clip frame by frame, she yells something along the lines of, "You've been saying that behind my back." And that line, that's where the story takes its first major twist, because now the narrative shifts. This isn't just a one-time insult. This suggests something deeper, something ongoing, something hidden. Because if what she said is true, then this wasn't the first time Blueface questioned the baby. This wasn't even the first time he said it publicly. It just might have been the first time she heard it in front of everyone. And that changes everything. Because now fans are asking a completely different question. Has Blueface been quietly denying the child for months, while pretending everything was fine on the surface? And suddenly, all those past clips, those weird comments, those subtle jokes, they don't feel random anymore. They feel like clues. Clues that point to a narrative that's been building quietly behind the scenes, until it finally exploded in the worst way possible. And as this realization starts spreading online, the internet does what it always does. It picks sides, hard. Some people are saying Chrisean went too far, that no matter how hurt she was, violence crossed a line. Others? They're saying this was inevitable. That anyone pushed that far, embarrassed that publicly, disrespected that deeply, would eventually break. But here's the part nobody can ignore. Because right after the fight, right after the chaos, right after security finally separated them, Blueface reportedly said something else. Something quieter, something that didn't go viral right away. But now it's starting to surface. And if what people are saying is true, then this entire situation, it might not be about doubt at all. It might be about something much bigger. Something that hasn't been fully revealed yet. Because according to one alleged insider, Blueface didn't just deny the child. He claimed he had proof. And if that's real, then everything we've seen so far might just be the beginning of something even more shocking. Because if proof exists, then the truth? Aga's about to hit way harder than anyone expected. And just when people thought the situation couldn't get any more chaotic, that's when the internet did what it always does best. It dug deeper. Because within hours of that explosive confrontation, clips started spreading like wildfire. Not just the fight, not just the screaming, but slowed down versions, zoomed in angles, enhanced audio. People analyzing every single second like it was a crime scene. And that's when something new surfaced, something nobody was prepared for. Because in one of the clearer clips, one that didn't go viral immediately but slowly gained attention, you can hear Blueface say something under his breath while being pulled away. At first, it's hard to make out. But once people cleaned up the audio, it sent shockwaves across social media. Allegedly, he says, "I already did the test." Now pause. Because if that's true, that changes everything. Suddenly, this isn't just about rumors or emotions or public embarrassment. This is about evidence. And the moment those 4 words started trending, the entire narrative flipped overnight. Because now fans weren't just arguing about who was right or wrong, they were asking one terrifying question. Did Blueface secretly take a DNA test without telling Chrisean? And if he did, what were the results? That's when things escalated fast. Fake leaked documents began circulating online, screenshots claiming to show DNA results. Some said the child wasn't his. Others claimed the opposite. Nobody knew what was real anymore. Twitter threads exploded. TikTok creators started breaking down timelines. People were pulling up old interviews, comparing statements, looking for inconsistencies like detectives trying to solve a case. And right in the middle of all this chaos, Chrisean went silent. No immediate response, no live stream, no post, nothing. And that silence, it scared people. Because for someone known for reacting instantly, emotionally, loudly, this kind of quiet felt different. Heavy. Like something bigger was happening behind the scenes. But it didn't last long, because just when speculation reached its peak, Chrisean came back. And when she did, she didn't just respond. She detonated the entire situation. According to multiple viral clips now circulating, she jumped on live, visibly emotional, voice shaking, eyes locked into the camera. And what she said immediately had fans frozen. She didn't deny anything. She didn't confirm anything. Instead, she flipped the narrative. She claimed that Blueface had been playing a game this whole time. Her words, not mine. She accused him of dragging the situation out for attention, of using the baby as a storyline, of manipulating public perception to stay relevant. And then she dropped something that nobody saw coming. According to her, there was never any real DNA test. Let that sink in, because if that's true, then what did Blueface mean when he said, "I already did the test"? Was he lying, bluffing, or was there something else going on? And just when viewers thought they were starting to understand the situation, she added one more line, a line that completely flipped the energy of the entire live stream. She said, "You know why he really doing this?" And then she paused, didn't explain, didn't clarify. I just stared into the camera and ended the live. And that's what sent the internet into absolute chaos. Because now it wasn't just about paternity anymore. Now people were speculating about motives, hidden agendas, secrets that haven't been exposed yet. What did she mean by that? What does Blueface gain from denying the child? Is it control, attention, something legal, something financial? The theories started spiraling fast. Some fans believe this is all about power, that Blueface wants control over the narrative, over Chrisean, over the situation itself. Others think it's deeper, that there are things happening behind the scenes that we're not seeing. And then there's the wildest theory of them all, one that started on a random thread but quickly picked up traction, that both of them know something the public doesn't, that this entire situation, the fights, the denials, the chaos, is only scratching the surface of a much bigger truth. And just when it felt like things couldn't get more intense. Another clip surfaced, short, blurry, but clear enough to raise eyebrows. In it, Blueface is seen talking to someone off camera, and once again, the audio isn't perfect. But people swear they can hear him say, "It ain't even about the kid." Now think about that. If it's not about the child, then what is it about? Because that line opened a door that nobody was ready to walk through, and suddenly everything we thought this situation was about feels incomplete. Like we're missing a piece of the puzzle. A big piece. And here's where things get even more unsettling. Because according to one so-called insider, someone claiming to be close to the situation, there's a reason this is all happening now. Not before, not earlier. Now. They claim there's something about to come out. Something that both Chrisean and Blueface know is coming. And whatever it is, it's going to make this entire situation look small in comparison. No confirmation, no proof, just whispers. But if there's one thing we've learned from this entire situation, it's that whispers eventually turn into explosions. And right now, it feels like we're standing right before the next one. Because the truth, it's getting closer. And when it finally comes out, it might not just change how we see the situation, it might change how we see both of them. Forever. And trust me, the reactions, they're already starting to get out of control. And just like that, the entire internet went into full meltdown mode. Because this wasn't just another celebrity argument anymore. This had turned into a full-blown digital war, and everybody had something to say. Within minutes of those clips going viral, timelines were flooded. We're talking non-stop posts, reactions, breakdown videos, live debates, people arguing like they personally knew Chrisean and Blueface. And the craziest part? Nobody could agree on anything. One side was completely backing Chrisean. Fans were posting things like, "You can't humiliate a woman like that and expect her to stay calm." He pushed her to that point. That's emotional abuse, period. Imagine carrying a child and the father denies it publicly. Nah, she had every right to snap. These supporters weren't just defending her, they were going hard. They brought up old clips of Blueface laughing during arguments, moments where he embarrassed her, interviews where he seemed dismissive. To them, this wasn't just one incident. This was a pattern, a buildup, a situation that finally reached its breaking point. But then, there was the other side, and they weren't holding back either, because a huge number of people started calling Chrisean out. Not just for the argument, but for how far it escalated. Posts started trending saying, "Violence isn't justified no matter what he said. This isn't love. This is toxic and dangerous. There's a child involved now. This isn't entertainment anymore." Some even went as far as saying this situation has gone way beyond celebrity drama and into something much more serious. And then the celebrities started reacting. At first it was subtle, a few likes here, a vague tweet there. But then it got louder. One well-known influencer posted, "This is exactly why people shouldn't turn real relationships into content. It always ends like this." Another artist tweeted something cryptic. "Truth always comes out, one way or another." No names mentioned, no direct call-outs, but everyone knew exactly what they were talking about. And behind the scenes, according to so-called insiders, people in the industry are watching this very closely. Because this isn't just messy, it's unpredictable. Brands, its collaborators, even people who were once connected to both of them, are reportedly distancing themselves. Quietly. No statements, no announcements, just silence. And in situations like this, silence says everything. But the real chaos, that's happening in the comments. Because fans aren't just reacting, like they're investigating. People are pulling up timelines, comparing past statements, analyzing body language, even going as far as creating full breakdown threads trying to piece together what's real and what's not. And the more they dig, the more confusing it gets. Because for every proof that supports one side, there's something else that contradicts it. Every theory creates 3 more questions, and now, the narrative is completely fractured. Some people believe Blueface is hiding something. Others think Chrisean is protecting something, and a growing number of fans, they're starting to believe that both of them are keeping secrets. And that's where things get really uncomfortable, because when the public starts questioning everyone involved, trust disappears. And once trust is gone, everything becomes speculation. Everything becomes suspicious, even the smallest details, even the quietest moments. And speaking of quiet, there's something else people can't stop talking about. Because after all the chaos, after all the clips, the reactions, the debates, Blueface hasn't fully responded. Not clearly, not directly. Just a few scattered comments, a couple of vague posts. Nothing that actually addresses the situation head on. And that's making people nervous. Because when someone stays quiet during a moment like this, it usually means one of 2 things. Either they're trying to avoid making things worse, or they're waiting for the right moment, waiting for the right information, waiting for something bigger to drop. And if that's the case, then what we've seen so far might just be the surface. Because right now, the internet is loud, the fans are divided, the industry is watching, and the tension, it's still building. Because one thing is becoming very clear. This situation is far from over. In fact, it feels like something even bigger is about to happen. And when it does, it might force everyone, fans, critics, even the people involved, to completely rethink everything they thought they knew. Because the final twist, it's coming. And if the rumors are even halfway true, it's going to hit harder than anything we've seen so far. And just when it felt like the story couldn't get any more intense, that's when everything flipped in a way nobody saw coming. Because while the internet was busy arguing, choosing sides, and trying to piece together what was real and what wasn't, something happened behind the scenes. Something quiet. Something calculated. And now, it's starting to leak. According to multiple emerging reports and whispers from so-called insiders, a private meeting allegedly took place shortly after the chaos. Not public, not recorded, not meant to be seen. Just a few people. Closed doors, and both of them involved. Chrisean, Blueface, and at least one person described as a third-party mediator. Now at first, people assumed this was about damage control, trying to calm things down, avoid things getting worse, maybe even protect both of their reputations. But according to what's now being hinted at, that meeting wasn't about peace. It was about truth. Because allegedly, something was shown in that room. Something physical. Something that changed the entire energy of the conversation. Instantly. And this is where the story takes its most shocking turn yet. Because multiple online sources are now claiming that what was presented wasn't just words. It wasn't just accusations. It was actual documentation. Now, nobody has confirmed exactly what that documentation is, and that's what makes this even more intense. But speculation is going crazy. Some are saying it was a real DNA test, and others are claiming it was something completely different. Something that explains why both of them have been acting so strange for months. And here's the part that has everyone frozen. Because after that meeting, everything changed. No more public yelling. No more immediate responses. No more chaotic live streams. Just silence. Heavy, uncomfortable silence. And when both sides go quiet at the same time, that's when you know something serious just happened. But it doesn't stop there. Because shortly after that alleged meeting, a cryptic post appeared. Not from Chrisean, not from Blueface, from someone close to them. A person fans have seen around before but never really paid attention to. And the post? It was only one sentence. But that one sentence, it has completely shaken the narrative. It read, "Y'all arguing about the wrong thing." That's it. No explanation, no context. Just that. And instantly, everything changed. Because now the question isn't who's right, it's what are we missing? What is the wrong thing people are focused on? If it's not just about the baby, if it's not just about the fight, then what is this really about? And this is where the theories start getting even deeper. Some fans believe there's something legal involved, something that hasn't been made public yet. Others think there's a financial angle, contracts, deals, obligations that are tied to their relationship and this entire situation. And then there's a growing group of people who believe this goes way beyond both of them, that there are other people involved, other influences, other pressures behind the scenes that are shaping everything we're seeing. And if that's true, then this isn't just a personal conflict anymore. This is something much bigger. Something that hasn't fully come out yet. And here's the most unsettling part of all. Because despite everything that's happened, despite the fight, despite the accusations, despite the emotional breakdowns and viral clips, neither Chrisean nor Blueface has fully told their side of the story. Not clearly, not completely. Which means one thing. There's still something being held back. Something that hasn't been revealed. And if the rumors about that private meeting are true, then whatever it is, it's big. Big enough to stop both of them in their tracks. Big enough to shift the entire energy of this situation overnight. And big enough that when it finally comes out, it might completely change how we see everything. The relationship, the fight, the baby, all of it. Because right now, we're not at the end of the story. We're at the edge of something even bigger. And the scariest part? It feels like we're only one reveal away from everything blowing up again. So the real question is, what are they not telling us? And more importantly, when the truth finally drops, will it clear things up? Or make everything even worse? Because if there's one thing this situation has proven, it's that every time we think we've seen it all, something even more shocking comes next. And trust me, that next moment, it's coming. Now I need you to really think about this. Because after everything we just went through, the fight, the accusations, the so-called DNA test, the silence, the private meeting, and that one chilling line. Y'all arguing about the wrong thing. What do you actually believe is going on here? Is Blueface telling the truth and hiding proof that could change everything? Or is Chrisean right? That this has all been a calculated move, a game played right in front of our eyes? Or, and this is where it gets uncomfortable, are both of them keeping secrets that haven't come out yet? I want you to go down into the comments right now and be real. Whose side are you on? Do you think that baby situation is legit? Or is there something deeper going on? And what do you think that private meeting was really about? Because the truth is, this story is not over, not even close. And if the rumors are even halfway true, then what's about to come next could completely flip everything we think we know. We're talking about potential receipts, possible leaks, maybe even a full reveal that forces both sides to finally tell the truth. And when that happens, you already know, we're going to break it down piece by piece, every detail, every reaction, every hidden clue. So make sure you do 3 things right now. Like this video if you felt the tension in this story. Subscribe because you already know this situation is going to get even crazier. And most importantly, comment your theory. Because some of y'all be catching things nobody else sees. I'm watching the comments closely. And I might feature some of your theories in the next update because trust me, the next part of this story, it's going to be even more shocking than this one. And you do not want to miss it.